Hello, I'm Smruti, a member of the Axel lab at NCBS, Bangalore, India. Today, I will be talking to you about dance follower behavior across Asian honeybee species. The waggle dance is a method of communication in honeybees that helps them recruit nestmates for foraging and conveys information about food sources. The dance comprises several circuits, each of which is a two-part movement. The waggle phase, in which the bee moves linearly while wagging her abdomen from side to side, followed by a return phase, in which she completes a semicircular motion to arrive at her point of origin. The waggle phase of the dance corresponds to the distance to the food source from the nest and is a useful indicator to study spatial communication in honeybees. Most of our information about the waggle dance behavior comes from the European honeybee Apis mellifera. However, the other extant species in the genus differ significantly in their nest architecture, and as a result, they rely on different channels of communication. Here, we focus on two Asian species, Apis florea, which is an open nesting species, and Apis cerana, which is a cavity nesting species. Apis florea, which is the ancestral species in this genus, nests in the open on tree branches. The top of the comb is horizontal, and foragers dance on this surface towards the direction of the food source. The bees nest in the open and they can perceive and use visual signals for communication. On the other hand, Apis cerana is quite similar to Apis mellifera. It's a cavity nesting bee species and the comb is in alignment with the vertical plane. The foragers perform the waggle phase of the dance at the same angle to the vertical axis which the food source makes with the sun. Since light is absent in the cavity, these foragers include auditory signals while communicating with nestmates. So, what exactly does this variation in the dance signal imply? We looked at the receivers of the signals, the dance followers, for this answer. We looked at foragers from two colonies each of Apis florea and Apis cerana. Foragers from the three different species were trained to artificial sucrose feeders. After flying back to the nest from a profitable food source, the trained foragers performed a waggle dance. We video recorded the dances and observed the behavior of the dance followers. For each circuit, the waggle phase of the dance was divided into three time points: start, middle, and end. The number of followers was quantified at each time point in different zones around the dancer: anterior, lateral, and posterior, along with the body orientation of the followers with respect to the dancer. We observed that the followers behaved similarly across the species. From the first graph of the number of followers against the waggle phase time point, we can see that the number of followers was more in the lateral zone rather than the anterior and the posterior zones. This pattern remained the same in both species. We also looked at the mean body orientation of the followers during the waggle phase. In both species, we observed that the followers positioned themselves at an average of 90 degrees around the dancer. Thus, changes in the dance signal among the species did not correlate with the change in the behavior of the dance followers. As noted earlier, foragers in Apis florea dance on a horizontal comb pointing in the direction of the food source. Thus, dance followers can possibly obtain information by following the dancing bee. However, much like in the other species, followers occupy the lateral position and not the posterior position. The similarity among the follower behavior indicates that the mechanism of spatial information transfer is likely to be conserved. This conserved nature of the dance mechanism is probably because the symbolic communication has evolved only once in these closely related species. We also looked at another species, Apis dorsata, and the dance follower behavior was highly similar to that in Apis florea and Apis cerana. This leaves us with the question, what roles do these varying signals play in communication? In multimodal communication systems like the waggle dance, we have an information bearing signal, in this case, the spatial location of the food source, and we have additional modulatory signals like the visual or auditory signals. These are likely to attract followers to dancers in the different nest environments. From our experiments, the signal involved in information transfer could not be explicitly identified. However, we have speculated in the manuscript on this work out now on bioRxiv. Thank you.